Hi, welcome back to Ask a Pennsylvania Dutchman. My name is Chris LaRose, and this here is Doug Maidenford, our resident Pennsylvania Dutchman.
That's me.
Douglas.
That's me.
What do you think? Lost Ink.
No, I think, we're in the middle of summer right now. It's hot.
Middle of summer.
Sweet corn. When this video comes out, it will be.
Oh, it's hot out.
Sweet corn's fresh. The tomatoes. Wow. I just pulled some tomatoes out of my garden. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff this time of year. Yep.
Well, you're ready for a question.
I am always ready for a question.
All right, let's see what we got. This one comes in from Andrea from who knows where, Pennsylvania.
I don't even know. Yeah, I guess Pennsylvania. We don't know.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, Pennsylvania. All right, she says, hi, Doug and Chris.
That's us.
I enjoy watching your YouTube channel, especially your series on Ask a PA Dutchman. Hey!
That's us again.
That's this one.
That's this one right now.
Holy cow. Although I don't have PA Dutch heritage, I have been in Pennsylvania my whole life and love learning about the culture and the influence PA Dutch, or the influence that has influenced Pennsylvania and the United States in so many amazing ways. Hey, look at that amazing ways.
We have. That's an outsider telling us that, too.
I have a question for the Ask a Dutchman series. Are there any traditional Pennsylvania Dutch clothing or outfits? I've seen straw hats being sold in the area and was wondering if that's common. Why, yes it is. I've seen it everywhere.
Well, Andrea raises a great question. People that aren't Pennsylvania Dutch, I think they all, we've talked a lot about this, but when you think Pennsylvania Dutch clothing, I think most people go right to Amish and Mennonite, because they dress a very certain way. And we all know that. The black hats on their formal. The Amish men will wear a straw hat. Women have their bonnet, their head coverings, and all of this. You guys know all that. But then there's us Pennsylvania Dutch that aren't Amish and Mennonite. Is there some kind of like traditional clothing that we have? That's a great question.
Suspenders. Yeah,
I think there's some stereotypes, but and straw hats are one of them. Summer straw hat. Yes, that's pretty typical Pennsylvania Dutch. Suspenders for men. Yeah, that's pretty typical. And a lot of times, if you go to the Kutztown Folk Festival, a lot of people will be wearing red suspenders. Is that traditional?
Yeah, I don't know where the red one came from.
But suspenders, galjuzen in Pennsylvania Dutch, that was, traditional. I think the problem is that when I think of how would I dress if I was a traditional Pennsylvania Dutchman, I'm thinking of my grandparents' generation. And straw hat in the summer, a button-down shirt, pants, Iberhose, jeans or some kind of work pants because you were on the farm or whatever.
I've seen a lot of plaid button-down shirts.
Yeah.
Lightweight plaid
and
ones.
Suspenders often. But, I wish we had, and this is me getting on my soapbox now. When you go to Europe, and let's take Germany for example, because that's where majority of us come from, there are all these regional costumes that they have, these traditional ways of dressing. Like in Bavaria, they have the lederhosen and the certain special kind of shirt. And if you go to southwest Germany into the area of Swabia, they have a very distinct dress for the girls. And a lot of people will wear this stuff when they get married or if there's some big event. And I think that's so cool that they have these old costumes that date back hundreds of years. And at one point we would have had that, when we came over. But here in America, we must have lost some of those clothing traditions.
Well, I think the suspenders would have to be one.
Yeah, I think so. And a straw hat for sure. I think that's very stereotypical Pennsylvania Dutch. And for a woman,
and
again,
boots. Gotta have boots.
some kind of work boot or boot. Yeah, you're not wearing sneakers and shorts if you're, if I'm thinking about, a traditional Pennsylvania Dutch look. I wonder how much that's gonna, is that like a dinosaur? Is that done? You know what I mean?
I've seen it around.
Yeah, but I mean, younger Pennsylvania Dutch people.
I think it evolved now. Because I see a lot of people that are similar, but they'll have T-shirts with the pocket when there's always something in the pocket.
Yeah, and
it's always stuffed full, 6 inches thick, sticking out with.
There's some traditional Pennsylvania Dutch music groups that still, and a lot of the men will wear. I don't even know what they're called. It's a special kind of tie. It's got it looks like a black line across and then two that come down. Not a bow tie and not a regular long tie. I don't even know what
like
they
the
do.
shoestring ties,
Kinda, yeah. I mean, you've seen them before. I think that also a lot of people will associate with non-Amish, non-Mennonite Pennsylvania Dutch. But again, that's like our grandparents' generation and before, really. Today we just don't have. We don't have anything.
I don't know. I think a lot of them kind of look like your dad now.
Yeah, but again, it's more modern. Jeans and a button-down shirt. But even my dad doesn't wear suspenders. Wears a belt. You know, I think we've...
Well, a true Dutchman would be wearing a belt and suspenders.
It's your insurance policy. Yeah. No, I mean, Andrea, you ask a great question. I really... And for women, you know, I think about, like, my grandparents' generation.
And
Nay. I mean, my one grandmother, I never saw her in anything other than a dress. And that was pretty, typical and traditional. If you look at old photos from, like, the late 1800s, these women would be on the farm butchering or working in the garden. They'd be in a dress out in the garden. It'd be a work dress. It wouldn't be the dress they wore to church. They would have their good dresses, and then they'd have their everyday dresses, right?
Dresses.
And a lot of times they'd have an apron over. That is also pretty typical for Pennsylvania Dutch women. Again, but we're talking, pre-World War II era,
I would think back then
those things like
a lot of the PA Dutch dress back then would look a lot like Mennonite now, I think.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I think we were a little bit more liberal in our color choice. It wasn't all like muted dark colors among
a lot of Mennonites wear some colors now.
Some Mennonite, yeah. Some of the more progressive Mennonite.
I'm thinking like modern Mennonites would probably dress closer to what like a typical PA Dutch dress would look like.
If we turn the clock back 100 years.
50s,
well, before that. I would go before that. No. I would say before World War I, even. Because I have lots of old pictures from our family, and when you look, you can definitely tell as the dress changed throughout the eras.
What you ought to do is edit in some pictures into this video, and it's like, hey, here's my grandma.
Well, that might be a good idea for one of my other videos, for my like Your Pennsylvania Dutch Minute or something like that. There are books out there that chronicle, there's some photo books out there that chronicle the life of the Pennsylvania Dutch after the invention of the camera. And you look at that, you look at those old photos from like the 1890s, 1900, right up into World War I, and you still have that old agricultural look. Woman in a dress with an apron over it, men with pants and suspenders and some kind of hat. And in the summer it'd be a straw hat because it was cooler to wear to keep the sun out of your face. So, I mean, that's the closest thing that, today most people don't dress traditionally.
Well, that was still the era when men wore waistcoats a lot, too.
Yeah, a vest. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and again,
that would be right up till after World War II, I think.
Well, for the most part. But then after World War II, a lot of things changed, especially among the non-Amish, non-Mennonite Pennsylvania Dutch. I think it's a great question. I always wear a straw hat in the summer, always. I have good straw hats if I'm going somewhere, and then I have, if I'm at home mowing the grass or working in my garden, then I have my work straw hats. That's what I was raised with. My grandfather always had a straw hat.
Well, now where do you get the good ones?
Well, that's a great question.
I know a guy. There's a guy in Virginville that makes really nice ones.
You can spend a lot of money on a straw hat if you want, and there are a lot of stores. Like if you go to Weaver's store out by Lyon Station there, out beyond Fleetwood, they have straw hats. At the Folk Festival, we keep coming back to the Kutztown Folk Festival, but there's a hat salesman there that sells straw hats.
I got a buddy. A buddy, Mark, makes aged-looking straw hats.
Yeah.
Ones that look like you've had them for 20 years. So if you really want to accelerate the process,
they're out there. I mean,
talk to my buddy Mark, the Virginville hatter.
There are people out there that are making traditional Pennsylvania Dutch style straw hats still out there, and they're fun. They're fun to wear. I mean, I like wearing a straw hat. I really do, because they're functional. They will keep the sun out of your eyes, and they let your head breathe in the summer because of the straw. So. A straw hat is one of the go-tos for me, for sure.
What about overalls? I bet overalls.
Yeah, overalls were popular, but again, not so much anymore.
Well, I see a lot of people wearing overalls going down PA Dutch land. I see a lot of overalls.
Yeah, but how old are they? They're not under 40.
35 to 45 or so.
Okay.
Is about the age. I see older folks wearing them, but I see 35 to 40.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe, but I think as a general statement, like these traditional costumes,
it's like a farmer archetype.
Yeah, well, it is. Well, yeah, that's because that's what we were. Yeah.
I wish they had. You know how they have like the characters for country music nowadays, where they're all in their cowboy hat. I wish we had like a PA Dutch version of country music. With
Pennsylvania Dutch music is country music.
Yeah, but like modern.
We'll work on that.
Yeah,
the one thing I do want to say, and I forgot to
hats.
mention for the women, if you think of like Amish Mennonite, they'll wear the small head covering. Sometimes they're only like this big and just sits on like on the crown, not on the crown, but on the back part of their head that they'll wear. A lot of the old Pennsylvania Dutch women, non-Amish, non-Mennonite, wore an actual bonnet. That was pretty traditional.
Hey, my girlfriend wears a bonnet.
Yeah, my daughter has a handmade one.
She's a goofball. She'll wear that thing with a t-shirt.
Just trying to think of these pictures. I've got all these old family pictures behind me, and I know for a fact that in this one, for example, you'll never see it, but that's my great-grandfather, and there he's out in the field, and he's got the suspenders on, the straw hat. Now, that picture's from like 1914.
Well, here we go. We got all these pictures right here. They look like PA Dutch folk right there.
Well, that's because that's what they are. But again, they're dressed like what we've been kind of talking about. But again, that's 100 years ago. More. So
I like it. I think we should bring that back.
Bring the look back.
Well,
we often dress up when we go out and perform.
You know what's really cool is I play a lot of blues and 50s rock at car shows. And there's the whole rockabilly scene where people show up dressing like they're from the 50s and it looks awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what's neat is it's not super different from that. I think we should bring back I don't know, old school Dutchabilly or Rocket Dutch or some kind of like new trend to dress
Andrea,
old-time
I would
PA
say,
Dutch.
Go get a good straw hat. They make women models and they have male model straw hats. Get yourself a good straw hat.
And suspenders.
If you want. Yeah, and suspenders.
You can wear those with anything.
Does your guy in Merchantville have a website?
I don't know if he's at a website, but
if he does, I'll link it in the show notes down below.
I think he's on Facebook as the Virginville Hatter.
If he's out there, we'll link him in the show notes.
Now, who wouldn't want a hat made
in Virginville?
In Virginville, Pennsylvania. Aged to perfection. Looks like you had it 20 years. Like it's been yours the whole time.
Yep.
Oh, boy. There you go, Mark. Hope you get busy soon.
Andrea, that was a great question that we probably could talk a lot more about. But, yeah, I mean, clothes change over time, of course. And, yeah. But go to the folk festival and you see people dressing somewhat traditional. You know, the people that are working there.
Actually, we challenge you to outdress them.
Yeah.
Yeah, dress more traditional.
Listen, for you people watching this on Facebook, if you have a picture of yourself in traditional Pennsylvania clothes, or if you have an old family photo of somebody in the way we were describing them, slap that baby on Facebook and let us see it.
We could do a cool collage video of all the people sending their... Yeah, I like it.
Please do. Andrew, that was a great question. Thanks so much.
Cool. Well, I think you heard it from the Dutchman.
Get yourself suspenders and a straw hat. That's an order.
Yeah, and until next time,
Mock's good.
If you have a question, you have to email us at busterpa@yahoo.com.